Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Talking Bollocks with me, your host, Howard H. Smith, former lead singer with Acid Rain. Who? Never heard of him. I do stand up now as well as a character called Keith Platt, professional Yorkshireman. You can find me on Facebook and Twitter. Right, that's enough of my ego. Welcome back. If indeed you are coming back. If not, then you've only missed one episode. Go and download that and thanks for tuning in. However you found us, it's great that you have. Coming up on this month's Talking Bollocks, I talk a lot of bollocks with Gama Bomb. Top band, top lads. It's a really interesting chat, actually. Even if I do say even if I do say so myself. There you go. That will be left in to prove that I can't fucking edit to save my life. So it's warts and all this month, folks. There we go. There's my mobile. You'll notice the South Devon ringtone. Forgot to switch that off before the show, so I will be doing that at some point. Don't worry. Anyway, chat with Gama Bomb coming up, which is really cool. We had a right old chat. It was really good to catch up with those boys. I haven't seen them for quite a while. We end up talking about all sorts. Well, there's no point in telling you, is there? Because you're going to listen to the interview, so no point in me spoiling it. But there you go. Also, a few bits of housekeeping from the last episode, I suppose, which. More than anything, first off, I should go really to asking people to send in suggestions for the name of the show. As you probably tell, we're sticking with Talking Bollocks, but I would like to give, I believe the phrase is a shout out, as the kids say. I'd like to give a shout out to Owen Fitzgerald. Props, Owen. Asked people to send in ideas for name of the show, and Owen blew you all out of the water. Just a simple email. It's great. It's entitled Names for Show, right? Show name ideas, and it just says here's 20, and these are them, right? H is Happy Hour, which could be an over an hour. H is Heavy Metal Hullabaloo. Smith's Shit Pit. Howard the Duck's Mosh Pond, quite like that. Satan's Slamboree. Old Farts Rock Radio, you can fuck off with that. Psycho Smith's Metal Circus. Dr. Demento's Dimension Mosh. Dr. Demento's Metal Dimension. Not sure who Dr. Demento is, if that's me in there. Howard Smith's Oral Assault, that just sounds like some sort of porn film. Satan's Death Gore Hellfire Tits Beer Chaos Show. Yeah, okay, yeah, like that. H's Obnoxious Broadcast, like it. He is heavy, he's H. Yes, I'm not a fat cunt, thank you. The Joke's on You, the Pit of Dr. Moshkinstein, more pits, the Pit of DJ Moshkinstein, the Crypt of Cacophony, Metal Up Your Minge, again just sounded like some sort of weird porn film, Smith's Sonic Sodomy, porn film, Metal as Fuck with Howard the Duck, yeah, nice rhyme, not a duck though, so not quite working. But what can I say? Owen, nice work, top work, fella. If you send in your address, email your address in, and the lovely people at All About the Rock will send you some sort of gift of that. I'm sure. What it'll be, I don't know, because they haven't got a clue I'm doing this. So there you go. Which leads me nicely into All About the Rock. Obviously, well, maybe not obviously. You may well have found this podcast through that website. If not, go back to it and check it out. There's some great interviews in there, great articles run by really cool people, and they must be pretty damn cool because they're letting me ruin their website with a monthly podcast. So and they've and also just to tease next month's show, which is a bit cheeky already. Gonna have a serious couple of dudes to interview. I don't want to say who they are. I don't want to say what it is. But suffice to say that they are incredibly cool interviews. But as is anything with the music business, there's no point in telling you the whole low down now, because it could well all just fall apart at the last minute and not happen, and I'll end up looking like a twat. Um, or even bigger twat than usual. Some of you might be thinking. So yeah, but all I can say is next month, wow. Definitely coming on next month's show will be the Rob Cavastani Death Angel interview. Decided to leave it out of this episode because myself and Gama Bomb do actually we work up quite ahead of steam, and the interview is I think about 48 minutes long. So it's really to get something really to get your teeth into there. It is better because I had the mic. Woo, mic! Had the mic this time, but I can only apologise in advance, as I do in the interview, for background noise. That's something that we just had no control over, unless I can actually sit down with a band outside of a venue, and sometimes even that's difficult because with Reanimator we had all the bar music in the background. But unless we can actually find somewhere quiet away from a venue, there's always going to be external noise if it's band sound checking, or in this particular case there's a bit of sound checking towards the end of the interview, but also there's a door banging all the way through it, which having listened back to the interview is not as bad as it felt at the time, but it's bad enough. So sorry about that, but these things happen. I mean, the Gamma Boys were super cool, really. Really accommodating. Made sure that we had, as soon as I arrived, they were like, "Okay, cool, let's sit down and chat," which was awesome. And then after the interview, Joe from Gama Bomb invited me on stage with Visceral Attack to do the Nuclear Assault tune "Survive" that Visceral Attack do an awesome cover version of. And so me and Joe got up and rattled off "Survive" with Visceral Attack, which was awesome. The Visceral Attack were superb. I'm a big fan of theirs. Proper hardcore, and it's just great old school vibe. Really love it. So yeah, check Visceral Attack out as well. Gama Bomb, of course, were awesome as they always are. So yeah, that was pretty cool. What else have I been up to? Went to see Protest the Hero. Those of you who listened to the first episode know that their last album was one of my top 5 of the year, and I gotta be honest, bit of a disappointing night. Not entirely due to the band. A friend of mine who had the tickets got stuck in traffic, so I ended up wandering around freezing Camden waiting for him, and but it did give me a chance to wander into a shop, and I found the Merciless Book of Metal Lists, which came out a little while ago. I think it's got a forward by Scott Ian and an after forward by Phil Anselmo, or the other way around. But anyway, I was flicking through the lists and got to the top 200 worst ever heavy metal album covers, and I thought, like everybody listening to this who's familiar with Acid Rain's career or Acid Rain's artwork, we're bound to have an entry in there. So get through top 200, top 150, top 100, top 50, top 30, top 20, and there at number 11. And there's the mobile going off again. I'm super professional, aren't I? Just to there at number 11, just missing out on the top 10, Moshkinstein. Poor old Moshkinstein. Fully expecting, I carried on the list, fully expecting to see, Obnoxious in the top 10, nay, the top 5, or possibly the top 1. Not a mention. Not a mention at all, so I felt a bit sorry for old Moshkinstein there. It's really not that bad. Pretty cool if you ask me, but what would I know? I'm probably too close to it. But so anyway, that filled in a few minutes whilst waiting for my mate. He arrived 8:35, 8:40. We steamed into the venue, and fuck me, Protest the Hero are already on stage. A headline band on stage at 8:40, and not only that, but they're 2 songs in. What? WTF, bro? What's going on? Since when did a headline band go on stage at 8:30? For fuck's sake! On top of that, it's kind of compounded it really by only playing about an hour and 10 minutes. Which am I going mental? Am I remembering the old days and thinking that like everybody played an hour and a half minimum or whatever? I mean, fucking hell, even Slayer do like hour and 25 headline set, and they're all knocking 50. It just I was like, 9:45 the show's over. 9:45, people. Oh, will you fuck off texting me? Jesus Christ. And I know what it is. There's a mate of mine who's just dropped his phone and cracked his screen, and he just wants somebody to fucking moan about about it too, and it'll be fucking me. Anyway, letting you in more than you care to know about my life. Anyway, yeah, back to Protest the Hero. Yeah. So yeah, all in all, a bit of a disappointing night. I mean, they were tight as fuck, and they were. I mean, don't get me wrong, they were good while they were on. And of course it was tainted by the fact that we were late, so that's our fault. But even so, a headline show over at fucking 9:45. Do me a favour. What are we, 12? Jesus. Anyway, I mean, I'm sure that's the venue's problem, but there you go. And I didn't get to interview Protest the Hero as well. I was hoping, but that got pulled. So yeah. Anyway, there you go. Interviews that are not happening this month. Protest the Hero. So what else happened? Yeah, went to see Wolf of Wall Street. That's fucking awesome. It's got no fuck all to do with metal, but yeah, brilliant. If you just want to see a lot of nudity, then it's great. A lot of nudity, a lot of swearing. Fucking yeah, brilliant. Not quite sure why I'm telling you about that, but anyway, there you go. It's all warts and all. Something else that has happened is, for those of you familiar with the documentary that's to come out on British Thrash called History of a Time to Come, contrary to my interview with Zentrix and what came up in that interview, I reached out to the people at History of a Time to Come, and got a lovely text back saying it's still on. No permissions for music have even been, certainly haven't been turned down yet because none have been applied for. It's still no further than an editing stage. The main guy behind the project, Josh. Hi, Josh. He's the main guy behind it, and he's been basically working 12-hour days for 9 months, and it's put a complete stop on everything. So there you go. I'm looking to catch up with him. He's actually living not far from me in London now, so we are going to look to catch up at some point over the next couple of months, and we'll sit down and have a chat. And I'm sure he's got some really cool stories about the makeup of the documentary so far. But yeah, there you go. Remember where you heard it first. History of a Time to Come, the UK British Thrash documentary is not dead. It should still happen. So yeah, that's yeah, and let's get this straight as well. Just I did reach out to the people at History of a Time to Come. Since when did that phrase enter the modern vernacular? I mean, you reach out to sit down with a mafia boss. Yeah, reaching out to somebody does not mean I've sent them a fucking text. It's surely it's got to mean a little bit more than that. But anyway, fuck it. Yeah, and there's been a few bands moaning in the press recently as well about people filming their shows with camera phones and all the rest of it. And I've got to say, I completely fucking agree. I mean, if I'm going to, I will take one or two pictures of a band, kind of like the first part of their show, or I might record one whole song, but that's it. But I'm so sick and fucking tired of being in a crowd and watching gigs through a sea of people fucking recording it. Why don't you just enjoy it? Why don't you just actually fucking enjoy it, experience it, instead of standing there recording it so you can show other people? Well, if they wanted to be there that much, they'd be fucking there, wouldn't they? What's the fucking point? So you can play it to people and go, oh yeah, this is who I went to see. This is what they're. Yeah. I didn't actually watch it. No, I fucking filmed it so I could show other people because I'm a fucking dick. I mean, it's really, and it's beyond. It's beyond dickheads putting their girlfriends on their shoulders so they can get a better view or / become a target for fucking glasses of beer. It's just. It does my head. I mean, there's not obviously and again, like last month, I'm sure I'm sounding like a fucking whingy old cunt, but I'm not. I'm right. So fuck you if you disagree. Just absolutely, just like next time anyone goes to a gig, just remember, all right? Just remember that there are people behind you who would actually like to watch the fucking gig, But God, that did sound like an old bastard, didn't it? Right, other things. It's important to get a little bit more housekeeping done, and let you know that we actually have a prize for you guys. Yeah, there's the official Slipknot photographer, Paul Harris, or Harries, depending on how you pronounce it. We have All About the Rock have made a book of his available to win to you, the listener. So yeah, basically, it is an awesome, phenomenal book. I mean, full of great pictures, folks, and no difficult to read words. It's just yeah, it's an official Slipknot picture book, and there's a particularly stunning visual band, and it's a particularly stunning visual book. It's autographed by the author to the lucky winner of the All About the Rock competition. No mention of Talking Bollocks there, but we'll let him off. So anyway, been thinking about what you would have to do to win a copy of this book. And basically, what I want is for you guys to message in Howard at allabouttherock.co.uk. That is Howard at allabouttherock.co.uk. Send in your emails. All I want you to do is tell us where you listened to this episode of the podcast. All right, that's it. Just looking to get an idea of you guys out there, where you listen to it, what you're doing. If it's in the car on the way to work, if it's I don't know, at the weekend running around the park or whatever. Don't send in obviously made up stuff like, oh, I'm banging my girlfriend and stuff like that, because it's just obvious it's made up, right? And you're really not gonna win a book by just being a dick. So just email in where you listen to the podcast, okay? Yeah, and that's it. And there's I'm just going to judge it on which one is most appealing, which one kind of goes, yeah, right, okay, and just sort of strikes a chord with me. So there's every single person who sends an email in will have a chance to win the book, because it's like I said, I don't know what I'm looking for. I'm just interested. I'm just a nosy twat. I listen to a lot of podcasts and listen to them all over the place. Just like to know what you guys do. So that's it. Also, one thing I'd like to do is mention to you, if you downloaded this from the All About the Rock website, cool, well done, that's fine. But if you have a podcast app on your tablet, phone, computer, all you have to do is type in All About the Rock, and you will find this podcast, and you can subscribe straight away. And each month when we release one, it will just automatically download onto your tablet, onto your computer, or into your phone, and completely fuck your memory because you forgot about it. But never mind. So yeah, that's a way to get in touch with us. And also, what would be a really cool idea, I want to try and basically spread the word. So if all of you out there can get involved in this, anybody you know that is into metal or whatever, or even if they're not into metal, right? Okay, just ask a mate, have you got a podcast app on your phone? When you're next in the pub, or just chatting, whatever, have you got a podcast app on your phone? And if they say yes, just take the phone off them, open the app, search All About the Rock, subscribe, and give them the phone back. All right, that's all I want you to do. It's just a little bit of way of spreading the word, just getting people involved. And as we get bigger and bigger, and I say we because it's like it's a little community here, guys. As we get bigger, we can get bigger interviews. We can get more people on board. I've just remembered another totally cool fucking thrash legend who I potentially am interviewing next month, which is going to be so good. Next month could be like just a fucking ball achingly good for interviews. So we're going to have to split those up. Death Angel will definitely be on there, but there's going to be some other really cool ones as well. All I can say is all interviewees are American. You will have heard of them all, and you'll almost certainly have had one of their albums of some kind in your collection at some point, unless you have a completely shit taste in music and you like Black Veil Brides and you're fucking 15 or whatever. So anyway, yeah, there's a few ideas for you. Just send in your emails, Howard at allabouttherock.co.uk. Just where you listen to the podcast, make sure you get people listening too, and that'd be really cool. So I think that's enough jibber jabber from me for now. I think it's time we got into a little bit of an interview, and that interview would be with Gama Bomb. Interviewed them a couple of weeks ago down at the Underworld in Camden, where they were playing that evening with SSS, Visceral Attack as well, and I think another band who I can't remember, so my apologies on that. Yeah, just a great night, really cool, very nice to hang out with the guys and have a little bit of a chat, which you're going to hear now. There's no real need to go on any further. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is me and Gama Bomb having a chat. Well, I'm here for the boys from, two lads from Gama Bomb. Introduce yourselves, guys.
Joe McSquiggins from Gama Bomb.
And Philly Byrne from Gama Bomb. And Paul's indicating that Joe now should do the bass sound check.
Ah, there you go. Well, that's it. So that's
I'll keep talking.
Yeah. We're one down. As soon as we started, we've got. As soon as we started,
we've got awful fear of being killed up there.
We've got a member leaving us now. Thanks, Joe. That was the briefest interview ever.
Yeah. We don't have a lot to talk about these days.
We've only just started this. This is the second time we've started. We were in another part of the building and the sound check started. Now we've lost a member. We're a member down.
It's a hectic game, as you know well, the old live music game.
Well, yeah, and we were obviously talking earlier about how the tour's working out.
Yeah.
But it's more of a kind of package tour, like everything is at the moment.
Yeah, well, I suppose every tour in essence is, nobody, no band is an island and all that kind of thing. But yeah, what we're surprised by this time is how civilized it is. Really, we're touring with SSS. As I said, they're old friends of ours. They're very, they're very grown up. They make us look very stupid. And with Visceral Attack, who are kind of, there's a good balance because they're kind of the crazy young guys. They're in the pub stealing pints off people and stuff.
Right. Okay.
And being those guys, and that's great. They're kind of being us 6 years ago.
So I was going to say, so are you the elder statesman then?
Well, I think SSS are really the elder statesmen because they're literally older than us. But I suppose between us and them, we're old blood. And Divine Chaos are obviously they're kind of a rising force, and Visceral Attack as well. But yeah, it's brilliant just being around, particularly the Visceral Attack guys, because they're just being those young dudes.
Yeah.
They're particularly being young hooligans, which is kind of fun to be around as well because it means you can just get involved in it whenever you want.
Yeah, and the thing is as well is that obviously when we were touring, everybody was young.
Yeah.
We were all pretty damn young. It was so long ago though. It doesn't really count now. It's like two lifetimes ago. Yeah. But it is good to have that balance on a tour. Because it's good sometimes those young guys, they kind of like remind you how precious it is.
Yeah,
because you can forget that sometimes.
Totally, yeah. Me, particularly just personally, I can be very unappreciative of the opportunity that it is to go on tour because it is hard in a sort of in a very menial way. Just day to day, it's kind of hard. I quite often tend to focus on that instead of having a really cool time.
Yeah.
When you see young dudes who are just so excited to be in the venue having a beer and stuff, it reminds you, I need to grab this a bit more by the horns like they do.
Well, the thing is, it's always the
now in 2 minutes.
And as soon as John does his...
Brilliant.
Okay, well, whenever we can pause it and I'll come back in.
Cool. Okay. Well, or you can just relay.
Hello.
Yeah, what I was going to say, by the way, that banging in the background is the door of the dressing room, so sorry about that, but that's the way it is.
No edits, Hitch, no.
No, fuck that.
No edits, this is raw.
No. Yeah, exactly, this is...
Coming at you live.
Yeah, well, you don't think any of our albums had any edits, do you? All sounds like one fucking take.
I don't think ours did.
Well, there was something that was interesting that you mentioned in there that I kind of wanted to talk about as well, which was that when you talk about focusing on the mundane and all the rest. I don't want this to sound, for people listening, I don't want to sound this like ungrateful or anything, but when someone goes to a show, all you see is the show.
You don't see what goes into it.
What you don't see is the other 23 hours of the day or 20 hours.
That's very true. Okay, let's pause for a minute.
Right, okay.
And then I'm going to answer that question directly with accuracy that you won't believe.
Right, while they're off sound checking, I am going to try and secretly record their sound check so we can have a little listen to it. Hopefully this comes off. If it sounds awful, I apologise in advance. Right, in between our last conversation, there's just been a quick sound check there, and now we're back.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that question was.
Yeah, the question was.
Well, not so much a question, more kind of discussion, I suppose.
Yeah, you were saying that people only see the portion of the gig that they come to see. Yeah, that's also the beauty of it. You know, I think there is a whole world of stuff that goes on before a gig. You know, the travelling, the getting ready. You know, and obviously it's all made possible by a huge big gang of humans doing different things that you would never even know were there during the gig and all these other things. But the real beauty of it when bands get it right is when you can't tell that that's happened.
Yeah.
Like when you're able to come in. Yeah, I went to see the Cult. I love the Cult and I've seen them like 3 times. And the last time I saw them, Billy Duffy was grumpy. And because he was grumpy, he wouldn't stop being grumpy. And I could tell that Ian Asprey really didn't want him to be grumpy and he wanted people to enjoy the gig and it was weird. And it ruined it, like. It didn't ruin it, but it was a thing where when I left I was like, here, did you notice? Instead of just being like, yes, they played Firewoman and all the other hits, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, in that way, like, the real trick that people maybe don't realise about music, live music is to make it look as if you have just popped up out of the ground. It's as if, you know, a YouTube video has popped up to life in front of you as opposed to seeming like real vulnerable, bored, you know, humans kind of thing, you know?
It's funny you should say that because one of the things you always say about stand-up is that you've got to look like you're delivering your material like you've just thought of it.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
it's got to look
organic.
It's got to look off the cuff and spontaneous every night. It could be like, you know, it can be the 300th time you've told that gag.
But it's the same with like stage banter, isn't it? Like, you know, the best stage banter. Like, I remember the first time I ever saw a band like 2 nights in a row or something. And I was really surprised that, you know, they were saying the same jokes in between.
I was gutted.
Yeah,
I was
like,
gutted.
To be fair, we do try to avoid that for the
we do
most
try
part.
and avoid it, but there's also stuff that works that you always end up doing because
gags.
You're better doing that than standing there going, so...
Yeah.
Like
certain interaction and stuff, yeah.
Well, the thing is as well is that you know, like you say, if you find something that works, I'm sure back in the day when Anthrax used to tour and they get Joey Belladonna on the drums and he'd fuck up and they get the whole audience to go, hey, Joey fucked up. And it's like, you know that happened one night, it was genuine. And then Joey fucks up on purpose every night.
Yeah,
it was good.
That's the thing, alright, yeah.
But you're right, you know, you've got to keep it, and like you say about that, that's why you can't hide it when there's problems in the band.
Yeah, but you also should appear more than... You know, it's a whole thing in music. I think there's this thing where when you're into a band or you're into anything, you should feel slightly like the person you're into isn't just like a normal dude down the road. Like, I would hate to hear like Tom York from Radiohead being like, oh, groceries are really dear. I would hate to hear that, like, you know, I always want them to be a rock star. Which is why I hate it when bands like do say like a pledge thing and they're like, we can't afford to get an alternator for a van. I know you can't, just don't tell your fans that. Because it brings you, it makes you immortal, like. No, I'm not saying we're immortal, I'm just saying that we don't tell our...
Hang on, have Gama Bomb discovered the secret of eternal life?
Yeah, well, we are particularly fresh-faced. But, you know, it's just one of those things where it's like, don't air your dirty laundry, like, don't show your ass crack, like, just, like, be the thing that people want you to be, and then you can be yourself for the rest of the time.
I completely and totally agree with that, and that's exactly how I feel. But are we being a bit old school about this? I mean, how old are you guys?
I'm 30.
31.
Are we? I mean, I'm obviously considerably older than you. I'm 82. But
can I get there overnight?
Yeah, cheers, man. Thanks. Gutted. But the thing is that, are we not a little bit old school in that? Is it now? Well, kids coming out, you know, downloading everything and the pledge and all the rest of it. It's very much a case of that, you know, there is no more rock star.
No, there is. There's a line, like.
But
there's
actually,
a line. Because you can ask people to pledge to make an album. Not something I personally am mad into, but like that sort of thing where you're very transparent, very connected with fans, like. That's the whole thing, but I don't think that means you're any less of a dude in a band that they look up to. It's more that they feel a sense of ownership. What I'm talking about is like bands really showing their vulnerability, like airing the dirty laundry, like telling business problems that they have as a band, stuff nobody cares about.
Well, see, there's a certain thing as well with bands being self-aware, like.
Well, just like people.
But like you guys, like the last EP that you guys did was very self-aware. Like it was like knowing what the story is and like. Not airing the dirty laundry in public, but being like,
being honest.
This is hard being in a band. Like, you know, here's the A's and B's, and like Manson did it as well with Legacy and stuff, where it's like people in bands who like are famous and are you know doing it for a living.
They're
also saying here, you know.
Yeah,
But if you're gonna, what we're saying is, you can air your dirty laundry as long as you do it through the medium of song.
Yeah, but to be fair, actually, I go one further. I'm not a fan of doing that.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
actually, I'm not a huge believer in it. We've nearly done it in the past. I've sat down and written lyrics about things that went wrong behind the scenes, and then I'm like, no, fuck this.
Yeah.
You know, we're not there to tell people why a business deal went south with some asshole who owns a record label. You know, we're there to deliver like a cool thing that me and them think is cool.
Yeah.
You know, they don't need to know that I'm disappointed in someone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the only thing that they want to hear coming out of my mouth is a load of shouting about zombies and shitting yourself. And, you know, and to be honest, while that sounds really easy, sticking with that is quite hard.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, you get in comedy. It's called being trapped in your act.
Yeah, right,
You know,
right.
It's, which is where you just get where you're just delivering gags and you haven't found the freedom yet, or you can't.
It's not creative.
You
really,
can't
like,
master the art of improv.
Yeah.
Which is because that frees you up.
Yeah, whenever you
know.
can feel what sort of room it is, and you're like, okay, I can run
exactly.
with this.
So you can talk instead of performing a bit, that kind of thing, like.
And the way you know, look, when you feel free enough as a band to jam, because let's face it, I'm
Doesn't
gonna
really happen in thrash.
Doesn't
Well, I was
Thrash.
just going to say it doesn't happen in metal, and
No.
you've got to go a long way till you're at that. I mean, I don't want to hark back to the ancient days of when when Acid Rain was up and running, but it wasn't till towards the end of our career that we were actually comfortable enough to actually jam in a rehearsal room, and especially me, kind of like not having a melody line or established lyrics was just like, whoa, this is a big step.
I think there is a bit of a thing. It's like there is a big disconnect between metal and, you know, that kind of creative, crazy, you know, mindset. That comes easier to other kinds of music. If you had been in a band like in a post-punk band at that time, like fucking Wedding Present or something, or like those bands were clearly jamming from the outset. Whereas metal comes from a very different place because it's heavily structured music.
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't work unless it's structured.
Yeah.
So unless you are playing the correct piece in the correct order with the other dude playing at the same speed as you are, you know, it doesn't work. So that's, I suppose, in that sense, that's why metal is very, very structured. Of course, that doesn't mean there isn't different kinds of crazy, original, very inventive types of metal, you know. But,
but even someone like, I was reading an interview with Tool, and even somebody like them, they're like, well, no, the songs are structured. Maynard comes along when the songs are virtually finished, and he puts his lyrics and his.
Oh right, he just fits around it.
Yeah,
right.
which I was like, right.
We're kind of 50-50 on that, I think.
Yeah,
Well, but a lot of the time we restructure stuff.
Yeah, but like it's always like, let's make this longer or change this to make a comedy.
A cool idea.
Yeah, some good ideas.
Yeah.
We've never said like, you know, a la Justice for All being all like, this is the drum beat, write the song around this kind of.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, there have been a couple of times where I've heard a tune that was more or less finito and then just fitted the lyrics over it because it was just ready. You know, the song was just finished on its own.
Yeah.
And that's the thing Tom Waits said about songwriting that I think was really true. He said some songs you have to make them out of your dad's watch and your ma's bowling bag and your old army buddy. And he was saying that other songs just pop out of the ground like a potato.
Yeah.
Okay, look, I know it looks like I'm rummaging around in the bin.
You are rummaging around then.
Right, I'm actually getting some stuff to just stick in the corner so when the door slams, it like kind of like slams softly.
MacGyver.
Right, yeah. So
I'm going to be escaping from this prison.
Yeah, that's really not going to work. But you know, at least I came up with an idea.
That was good.
Yeah, I'm just trying to stop the clanging that all your listeners are probably getting, and you're just like relaxing and listening to the interview, and then there's a bang. So if you're listening to this late at night, apologies, but there you go. And actually, do you know what? I'm going to go back on everything I said about that Rockstar thing, because I recently went to Wembley Arena to see Avenged Sevenfold. Obviously, I was given a ticket. I saw him 10 years ago, and I wasn't particularly impressed then, and I wasn't impressed at Wembley Arena. But the least impressive thing about the whole thing was not just the band, was the fact that the audience reaction was basically a teen band. It was like a Justin Bieber.
Just screaming.
Oh yeah. I mean, all Shadows had to do was whatever his name is, fucking M. Night Shyamalan, or whatever he is just to go to one side of the stage, and that side of the side of the crowd would start screaming.
I know it is. I know it is a bit
depressing.
less. I know it is a bit less like. Yeah, you know what? Actually, no. I'm gonna go against this. I think that's good because we are older people, and the people in Avenged Sevenfold are older people, and fair play to them, they're getting away with it. But that's brilliant, because that's what always was the thing, was teenagers losing it, was teenagers going on in a way that adults didn't understand, and being completely just, unself-consciously mental about being at a gig. The first 20 gigs I went to in my life, I spent the entire time just screaming the entire time,
right,
because I couldn't believe I was seeing Megadeth or Pearl Jam or whatever.
Well,
and
right, okay.
I kind of think, I tend to try to sort of unburden myself of those kind of prejudices when I get them, because I know I'm being old, and I know that that's okay for me, but it actually is against what is really cool. Like, those kids are having a great time. That's all they're after. They are a pop group. Like, I mean, Jesus, come on! Like, it is the same as Justin Bieber.
To be fair, when I saw it, I felt like it was like well, no, I've seen this reaction before, but it was for stuff like Bon Jovi to see it. But then you've made a very good point there. It is pop music. It was the number one selling album.
It's not
or as Rob Flynn called it,
20-year-olds or 22-year-olds. It's like for people
15.
15, and that's it. And the reason why specifically that band, people were all like, oh, they ripped off the Black Album, they ripped off blah blah. We do that all the time. We rip off Megadeth and etc. But it doesn't matter. It's the reason why people give out about that is because this music for kids.
Yeah,
that
it goes against kind of cool art.
Yeah, for all these people who were born after the Black Album came out.
And that's why I'm not really.
Yeah,
and while obviously
they fucking suck.
Obviously their music I think that's bilge. I'm really old and I don't like anything like that. I don't even listen
really
to
old.
Like that.
Only 30.
Yeah, I know, but I've musically lived 10 lifetimes between listening to stuff that was even similar to Avenged Sevenfold. Like, like the Black. I don't even own the Black Album. So it's like. Obviously to me that's rubbish, but yeah, it's those kids are, and it's a great open doorway for those kids. They're going to get in there, they're going to find Black Sabbath, they're going to find other interesting bands and stuff. It would be great if everybody had a legion of 15-year-olds out there spending their ma's 20 quid on their t-shirts. Everybody would, if we could do that, we wouldn't have to go to work. But it's it's great that they're doing it, they're getting away with it, they've got all their wee tattoos and stuff that look great, it's good. I'm delighted for them. I wish I could get away with it.
This really does sound like an interview to be opening on the next Avenged Sevenfold tour.
What's the point? We wouldn't work. It would never work.
No.
You may as well have Alan Titchmarsh opening for them.
It's a different bracket. It's for people who are lifers, like who are in a band to make a living and do the career thing. And the thing is, say if your band had have been slightly more successful the way the German bands were, would you want that? Would you want for Acid Rain to be your bread and butter, where if you didn't do 100 gigs a year, your kids wouldn't be going to college, kind of thing? Because that's the situation that all those bands like Destruction and Creator are in,
Oh fucking hell! This has turned into something I thought I never would do, which is me being interviewed by the interviewees. I think, if you can make a living artistically, for want of sounding, I know that how arsey that sounds, but if you can make a living artistically,
that's
whether
a great
it's
thing to do in life,
whether it's stand up music or
most people never get to do that, a creative lifestyle.
Exactly. But having said that, there is also the other side of it, because we were fortunate enough to make for the band to be our lives for a few years, and the other side of that is that for a hobby or a love to turn into a job, turns into a job.
A conservative,
absolutely. Yeah, well, you've seen behind the curtain.
Absolutely.
Me and him have been best friends since first year of secondary school, and there's been loads of times where friendship's been tested through being in the band. I don't think we've ever argued about anything that's outside of the band.
No, never. No, we've never fallen out over girls or money or any stupid things that mates argue about. We've only ever
seriously talking musical differences.
Oh, absolutely, down to the ground,
massive.
And stupid bollocks, stupid shit, business rubbish in a band.
We were going to call our last album Legend of Speed, and Philly wanted to call it Legends of Speed, and that argument lasted for 3 weeks.
We're on loads.
I go 1S.
Yeah.
1S. The irony being that you're touring with SSS. So.
Yeah. We could have borrowed one of their S's.
That's it. Look at those fuckers. They're
spoiled for S's.
Yeah.
You're right. I'm going to go in there right now and take an S off those guys.
Just be all introducing the SS.
But people listening to this, that's a fucking that's a mean joke. But for people listening to this to think. To hear you had an argument that ran for 3 weeks. One letter. It's like, Jesus, these guys are mental patients.
But that's the hilarious thing is.
But that again, that's the unique thing of being in a band. It's a 4-way marriage.
It's the thing about music, though, and any kind of creative endeavor like that. No matter how frivolous it is. Like we have a song called "Shitting Yourself to Live." What's that? Is that about it?
Yeah.
Shiny coins, man. Wow.
Philly has just received a.
Just so you know, there it is. That's today's bet. Stay at home, kids. Don't join a band.
Yeah, that's what money sounds like.
Don't join a band.
Yeah,
I'm 30.
Notice that we get paid in pound coins.
Yeah.
Paper.
Shiny
There's no
coins.
checks or bank
To be
transfers.
fair, there was some 50p's in there as well.
Dude, we got paid 59p by Overkill one night.
For a buyout.
We love Overkill, like, you know. But yeah,
Awesome.
59p.
But yeah, is this no matter how, you know, outwardly silly and throwaway your concepts are, you actually spend loads of time and heartbreak putting those things together. It takes lots of effort to be this stupid. It takes a lot of effort.
Oh, yeah,
Whenever you guys did
mate,
the-
you're talking to me.
Yeah.
You know what my musical career
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
Now I'm a
yeah.
stand-up, so I know exactly
of
what
course,
you mean.
yeah.
Like, whenever
I
you
know
guys
exactly what you
did
mean.
the weird, obnoxious cover, was there like
Yeah.
two guys in the band who were like, this is a terrible idea, let's not do that? Or was everybody like, this is perfect, let's go for that? Like,
We were all. So I don't know how if you've seen. We posted the original obnoxious artwork on.
Oh, right.
Facebook
What was that like?
recently. It was drawn by Stilly Paps.
Is he the one who did the
Is
other
it-
one? Did
so
it
is it- is
Marshkenstein
it-
and
I have
stuff?
the
No,
t-shirt
that was
with
Evesy. Stilly Paps was who lent Ramsey his drums to do the first album.
Right, right.
He's Kev's younger brother.
Right.
Oh,
Shout out Stilly there. And he is, and basically it ended up as a T-shirt on the Obnoxious tour, which
Yeah,
is just
they-
the face
they
of
do.
the ugly bloke.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That was
The
that
face
the
was obnoxious, yeah.
We sent that off to Under One Flag, and they were like, nope. So we went, right, okay, fuck you. We're going to come up with something worse. So we came up with something worse, and they went, love it.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's really cool because the colours are
striking.
obnoxious. Like, yeah.
Well, do you know what? Thank you very much. That seems like a really simple concept to grasp, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But even now, I read a review of the album from 2010 that just went like, well, this was the beginning of the end, and mainly because the artwork tanked the album and stuff like this. So it's just like people just get so confused about it.
I
So
thought
the
it
answer
was-
to your question is,
I always thought the
fuck
cover.
things
I
up.
always thought the cover of Obnoxious was quite clever because it does that. It's a thing that graphic designers know. If you pick two colours that are printed in a certain way, that are vibrating like bright red and bright blue, if they're printed in a certain way, or bright pink and bright blue, they vibrate against each other and look really horrible to look at.
And that was
So that was kind of and it's
was-
actually really hard to print that.
That was the idea, and the idea came from Ramsey, and what we wanted was cerise and cyan, and that's what it is.
Great.
And then we did the re-release, and people are like, "Oh, God, I can't believe you stuck with the same artwork. I can't believe you think we would."
Yeah. It's called Obnoxious. Yeah.
But it is
Exactly.
better having something different or something cool.
Serves a purpose.
You know,
Yeah,
than,
well,
like there's
speaking-
so
yeah.
many bands like out there like that will not name where it's just like photoshopped image or whatever, or like just something crappily done on the computer, and it's just so throwaway. You're just like, yeah, there's no album cover looks exactly the same as the last one. It's the last one.
Or
At least with your guys' stuff and our stuff, it's more like, oh, this looks interesting. Like,
But I think you guys have taken it to the next level because you've gone into I wouldn't even call them videos. You've gone into movie making.
Yeah, well,
You know, and
That's
that
the hope.
I'm like super impressed with the shit that you guys have been doing because it's like really good production values.
Yeah.
And,
well, those three videos, man. Like FM gave us a budget of €1,300 to make one video.
we made 3
We
videos.
made 3 so
And the
far.
second video, we made a short video for a song called Shitting Yourself to Live. And it was free. We got it done for nothing. Absolutely zero. And then we spread it out over the other 2. Yeah, I've been saying it a lot recently, and I think it's just a thing where in metal there are really low standards, creatively speaking. In terms of how people portray themselves.
I think it's presentation.
There's a
it's
very
like
low standard.
logos and artwork and
just
stuff. It's
so
not
good,
necessarily always like there's plenty of good music that looks bad that people are never going to hear because it's packaged so poorly.
I think it's a bigger problem than that. I think metal fans have come across the board to expect less than people in other genres of music. If you're a band who are about 22 and you're releasing an album on an independent label and you sound a bit like Radiohead, you will have really good design involved in everything you do. Like there will be somebody there who'll look after it and help you have really nice looking merch. Your logo will look interesting. The inlay of your album will be well thought out. It'll be detailed. Most of the time, there's a lot of shit there as well. But in metal, it just seems like people under-deliver so much that fans have become used to thinking, oh yeah, well the merch is obviously black. The design on the merch is obviously a skull. The fucking you know, the album cover is obviously going to be a photoshopped load of skulls. You know, the title of the band logo is going to have spikes coming out of it, or roots growing out of the bottom,
or it'll be completely fucking unreadable.
Yeah, or the video will be them in a warehouse, and you'll come to accept. And it means that whenever bands, like well thought of bands, release stuff that just fits that bill again and again, there's never any criticism of it. Nobody ever turns around and says that's just the same as that stuff.
Sounded fantastic.
Yeah.
And look terrible.
Yeah,
and terrible videos.
It's just one of those things, and like we're so used to it in metal that we don't even call people on it. When they release a video of somebody in a warehouse, you're like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Like everyone's in a warehouse.
But,
you know?
But is there an aspect there of you know, you're lucky enough to be in a band where you have you know there's a lot of creativity in all areas, and maybe we're looking, you know, maybe those examples, those bands in warehouses are either
where they don't have a visual mind
where they're literally they're all about like and they actually want the video in the warehouse.
Yeah, but to be honest, I know. Yeah, but there it is. Okay, right. So people want to settle for shit. Let them settle for shit. That's my logic. There are plenty of people who are not like that. You know, we can't excuse the entire, what is virtually an entire fucking area of music, of human endeavour, that is largely just shit looking. Like, you know, and you know, loads of that stuff is stuff I absolutely love. Like, obviously I love all loads of metal album covers and loads of stuff.
Sometimes the worst, like,
it's
in,
just
in
like
the old school Sodom way, that's brilliant. But whenever you get the idea that it's like, this is the best they were shooting for the moon.
Yeah.
And that, like, you know, this is the best they could do, instead of like Avenged Sevenfold, where they're just like, see that bat with the wings, or the skull with wings that Overkill have? Take that. Have we got a lawyer? Yeah. Okay. Right.
Yeah. Who are we on Warners? That's fine. Put that
it's
out.
Fine. Don't worry about
it. You know,
I was wondering how long it had been before we mentioned that.
It's hilarious. I don't even really know them, but yeah, they are the epitome of this. Like, you know, and you know, Skulls is full of it as well. We made that video off our own bat. It's never ever going to be on the TV, and I don't care, because when I turn on the TV and see Skulls or whatever, as the videos roll by, I'm just like shit. And they're all and they're labels who have the money to pay for those kids to be on TV. They have money to go and get some little golf bird to look sad in a corner or whatever in their video. We didn't have a bean, and it was just like, and that's what I said before. It's like the challenge is just like bother, like properly bother. Think about it before you do it. If you don't have a creative idea, like visually, look around for it. Go and find it. Me and Joe don't fucking paint Caravaggios in our spare time. Like, you know, we're not particularly artistic people, but we do go and look for things that inspire us, and we go and work with people who inspire us.
Well, that was the other thing I was going to say was that you know the warehouse video band, for which is a term I think we've just coined for a whole fucking genre. Yeah. So warehouse video band musicians. There's another side to that. Whereas, well, yeah, if the creativity isn't in the unit, then you need to have people around you who say, "Look, guys, we've got a concept, and
cool idea,
look, you know, Look, do you want to run with this?
Absolutely.
Let's go
and
out.
We've been very lucky. We've always, probably because we also sort of demanded of ourselves, we've always worked with very interesting, creative people in that sort of area.
Do it ourselves.
Yeah, and like we're lucky enough that, you know, Rory, who's worked with us since the start, is probably one of the most talented designers working in music at the minute. You know, he works on things that win Mercury prizes and Ivor Novello awards and shit. Like, he's a proper design guy, and it just so happens that he's, you know, our guy, and he's Joe's brother. Yeah. So, you know, Rory's I think been a big steering influence in that way.
But you read about, like, there's plenty of people who are on a touring schedule that doesn't allow them to sit down for 2 weeks and think of a cool alternative to having, like, you know, a warehouse band video, you know. Or there's bands, like you said, who have no ideas, and they go to an agency, and the agency are snowed under doing, like, the new Oasis video or whatever, and they've got like a day, and they're just like, yeah, there's warehouse around the corner, let's go. Like,
yeah.
Well, the other one as well is for the sort of typical, I don't know about metalcore, but just the typical fucking short-haired bunch of nerds who don't look like they should be playing metal, but they are. They're either in a warehouse or for some reason on the back of a truck.
Oh, right.
No, they're on the back of a truck going somewhere. Yeah, or they're on a train going somewhere, or they're in a car going somewhere.
Just we're good for them to have the money to shoot something. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, but it's all fucking good. But it's all shitty green screen as well, you know.
Yeah.
And like you said, you can tick these off.
Yeah.
On you know, like you're watching Scuzz late at night or Kerrang or whatever, and you sit there and you think, right, okay, the first few minutes are interesting, and you think like, oh, this is fucking all right. and you know, there's a fucking massive heavy breakdown, singers in your face, and you're thinking this is awesome. And then it gets to the chorus, and it just sounds like something off of fucking
Backstreet Boys,
Brian Adams,
you know what?
Nickelback.
I'm blissfully out of touch. I love not knowing. And you know what? I have no problem with it either. If there's some like little 15-year-old girl, as I say, who gets into that, and you know, that's only for a season. Those are early blooming flowers.
You can't serve the two masters.
Yeah.
The thing, like, you know, and nobody's favourite band is ever going to be one of those bands.
No,
like, it's
never,
always going to
never.
go back to AC/DC and Slayer and bands who are one extreme.
Yeah, like that little girl who's mad into them. To be fair, yes, there are probably other bands who will last in terms of their legacy, like say My Chemical Romance or some other shit. And like the little girl who's into them will graduate to that, or graduate to something more real than that, hopefully. Like, yeah, and that's it. But I'm delighted that metal is a thing now. When me and Joe were in school, metal was invisible. There was virtually nothing. Like really hard European dance music and a tiny slice of the stupider end of Britpop was what existed.
Remember he used to be on the cover of Metal Hammer whenever
it was like Rachel Stamp, Human Waste Project, like Max
Hippie,
Cavalera with his fucking hair hanging off his head. Yeah, like when we got into metal was in an absolutely dire state.
Well, you'd have been around the time of Kerrang having the Gallagher brothers on the fucking cover, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
I mean, that was like that.
To be honest, they were probably better than most of the fucking metal that was going around. At least they had an idea and played the guitar.
Chamber and stuff like
yeah,
that.
like
it was more
Cold
rebellious than a lot of the shit that was
at
going
least.
on.
And to be fair, like, you know, metal has this thing where, you know, a large part of metal is played and, you know, hands up guilty, like by middle class people. Like, there's very little rebellion in metal in this part of the world. When you go to America, you go out to China, you meet loads of little Latin American dudes, you know, who play metal and they're from the streets. Like, but here, it's quite mollycoddled, like, and I'm counting myself in that, like, you know.
Oh no, totally.
And like someone like Oasis, they were actually just some working class lads who didn't give two shits, like, and were just playing virtually rudimentary but catchy music. So yeah, put them on the fucking cover. You know, Prince was on the cover of Kerrang once, right? Yeah, grand. You know what? I would rather that Kerrang and people like that did take gambles and put someone like Oasis on the cover than continuing to pick 3 or 4 labels, 2 of whom only release fundamental Christian music, and keep cycling through those bands being on the cover in order to drill down into some demographic that some prick with a pie chart showed them 2 years ago.
It's so much politics though, like, you know, and like I'm sure you had the same discussion. Like,
now to be fair, I'm not dissing Kerrang because I actually know loads of people who work there and they're lovely, but it's dictated by these larger forces, not by their creative decisions.
Like I remember Eric used to do that, where they would go and talk to the vice head of Eric would go down and talk to Skulls for an entire day to try and convince them to do that, or to try and convince them to put Evil or whoever on the front of the magazine.
Yeah.
And like that's just been going on since day one. I'm sure you said the same thing with Metal Forces, where your manager is like, "Oh, it might be on the cover next month. No, not this time." But
it's extremely political.
Yeah.
But you know, that's fine. That's okay. You know, it has its place. You know, as I say, loads of my mates. I personally used to be a music journalist. I know how this sort of thing works, and I have a lot of respect for people who do it. But it is only part of a larger ecosystem now, which is what we're lucky with. You know, is that is only a portion of the pie.
Yeah.
It's only a bit of it, yeah.
Yeah, you don't have one. Well, like, you know, you had Kerrang, Metal Hammer, Metal Forces for a while, would pretty much hold sway over everybody's career.
Yeah.
I mean, I have first-hand knowledge of this. Our first 2 albums were reviewed, and I got an absolute fucking kicking. Funnily enough, I read the review of the Fear just a couple of days ago, and I was like, Jesus, that's
personal. Like,
it was like, you know, he needs to go.
Jesus.
You know, it's like, if this band, if
they're going to make it.
Oh, we laugh now. By the way, I would like to say that within 6 months of writing that review, Paul Miller was dead.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Somehow.
Yeah.
Somehow he got run over by a bus, and nothing more rock and roll than that. Do you know what I mean?
Did he get run over by a bus?
He got run over by a bus on the way to work on his bike. So there you go. Bus drivers. Paul. Turns out they're all right. But no, you know, when those sort of few magazines were out, they held sway over, like, you know. And if you got a bad review, I mean, you're but again, you know, you bring the. I mean, I spoke to a record company when you know, saw the review, and they were like, look, it's one person's opinion, and that's all it ever is, and that's one thing that the internet has done.
Yeah.
Is it really does make you read.
Unbelievably. Remember the one we got for supporting Sepultura in the Scala?
What's that?
What did the guy say? It was like one of those literally treading water in a sea of sexual fucking...
Oh yeah, retarded sexuality and bad poetry. No, we've had unbelievable reviews. We've had I wouldn't call this an album. I would call this a collection of songs.
That's not too bad, is it?
It's pretty bad. When you
Really?
spend 2 years making it, and then they go, it's not an album. Yeah, you know, it's the stroke of the pen. It is what it is. Musicians have always been the natural enemy of, you know, journalists, and to be fair, that's a mistake to make, because, you know, the entire thing is transient, and what lasts is music, particularly now, because we live in a sort of a digital continuum where music, no matter how shit or underexposed, never goes away.
Yeah.
You know, fucking Baby Cakes by Three of a Kind is as available as Django Reinhardt's work.
Exactly.
You know, like, that's there.
And
Like, the Venga Boys are just
things
as
are
real
always
as
gonna
Mozart. Like,
things are always going to get bigger, and like
More
that's just the way.
nostalgic.
Like, there's probably a period where like a lot of old UK thrash bands and stuff, people weren't paying any attention between '95 and 2004, and now it's just going to be one of those things where bands like you guys and stuff are there online, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger until you're 75, and somebody will be all like, well. And again, you know, it's like, you know, big in Japan. That's the internet, like, you know, the internet's just going to put everything there, and people are going to get bigger.
The internet is Japan. Yeah.
It is. Yeah, it is weird the way music is developed. I mean, I was talking to the guys at Reanimator and Zentrix about this, and we're like, I said to Reanimator, what's the biggest thing that's changed? You know, since you were doing it then and now you're back, what's the biggest thing? They're the internet.
Yeah.
You know, that's it.
Yeah, well, that's
basically
like it's the reason why we're here.
Yeah, it's the reason we're here. Definitely.
You know?
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't have had that T-shirt printed unless internet existed. Like, you know.
Very good
The
point.
internet
I'm wearing a very snazzy Acid Rain T-shirt, by the way, folks. Available from funeralmoonclothing.co.uk/Acid Rain.
Catchy. It's a catchy URL.
It's especially when you say it properly.
Yeah.
But no, you're absolutely right. And the weirdest thing, funnily enough, this thing that I'm wearing now, we had a girl who I think she's about 22, 23. Her username on Facebook is Moo Moo Juice. Just that's a name check for you, dear. Thank you very much. And she sent us a picture of herself wearing one of these, going like, yeah, I've been wearing this for last 3 or 4 days because. You know, I love Acid Rain. Yeah, well, let's hope so.
Take a shower.
I didn't mean that. But it was just it did my head in to see this girl who's 23, 24 years old wearing and being so pleased to have something that's like, well,
he wasn't alive whenever you guys.
Exactly. Yeah, all right, don't push it. No, but you're absolutely right. She must be 22, 23.
Yeah.
We have been quit for 21 years.
Well, it is what it is. You know, music music now exists and keeps on existing. You know, there's no such thing as a deleted album anymore.
You're talking about this like a lot actually over the last few years and stuff, and like what you guys did and what Onslaught did and stuff like that really acted as a kind of guide for us. You know, as in it was easy to see.
What went wrong?
You know, like it was easy to see where everybody tried to emulate the Black Album or
follow
America's
lead.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hopefully we didn't do that.
No. Well, I don't mean using. I mean,
it's all right. You can say whatever you like.
Like the first wave.
Yeah. I mean, like a lot of those, especially Onslaught and stuff, changing singers or trying to change your sound to appeal to X, Y, or Z or whatever.
You alright, Quinny?
But yeah, like I think that's definitely. Apart from the musical influence and stuff from a lot of that stuff, it was definitely.
I'm gonna go to the toilet quickly, listeners.
It was easy to be like, yeah, okay, let's not try and do that. And I'm sure there was pressure from every band's management once the Black Album came out to be all like, these guys just sold 8 million copies of their album. Like, come on, you guys are the same genre as that. Like,
well, we were.
And I think that's what happened with Reanimator and like a couple of bands like that.
Well, to be honest, it's amazing how perception is completely different to reality. The reality is we're all hanging on by the skin, by our fingernails, because by 90 came around, we couldn't get the demos of the Obnoxious album got a lot of interest in the States.
Yeah.
By the time we finished the album and went back, couldn't even get a meeting because everyone knew that Thrash was dying.
Yeah,
and that was it. We were never under any. Management wanted the Fear to get remixed.
But presumably, like hanging the telephone as a single of Crimbo and stuff, was that a management? Like as in every other band's doing a cover, give it a crack, or...
So we'd already recorded it in those demos I just mentioned, that we did some demos for Obnoxious. And we'd already recorded it and that was a management idea.
Yeah.
But they didn't want Hanging on the Telephone. There was a couple of other songs they wanted us to do. They wanted I Get Around by the Beach Boys, but funnily enough, there was no way we could fucking pull it off with the vocals. And there was another one as well. I think it was. There was a. I can't remember what it was, but we loved Hanging on the Telephone, and we kind of took it on, and we really, and management were really cool on it.
Yeah.
And I think if I remember rightly, we kind of pushed for it to be released as a single. The label were like the management
was that Martin Hooker, and because I know from talking to Glenn from Nuclear Assault and stuff, he was just. Basically, their idea was always like, do a cover, bring it out as a 12-inch, and then, you know, it's easy to do tour, and it's just something that if you take a punt on it, you never know, it might go massive, like, you know. And he said, so they were always like, do Happy Days, do, you know, Good Times, Bad Times, do this. Said it was never their idea, but it meant that it was easier to tour in Europe and stuff because they had 12-inch singles there and they didn't have them in the States, you know.
Yeah, to be honest, we were there was very little enthusiasm from the management to do the. But this is what happened with we ended up with a management that we weren't particularly convinced were doing a great job because their other band was Little Angels, who were having like they were having #1 albums at the time, and we quite rightly felt that we were just getting forgotten about. So our relationship became, we always had a strong relationship direct with the label, and that continued. And for a while there, it almost became like, I remember sitting down and having conversations with Martin Hooker, and him saying, he knew the guy behind our management company, and he was like, "Oh, I can't believe he's fucking this up, as it were."
Yeah, he's not pushing it.
So we would do. So that whole thing was us and the label pushing it through, and management kind of going, "Well, we don't agree with it," and we were going, "Well, fuck you. We don't care if you agree with it. We want to do it." You know. And it was a laugh, It was a laugh. I mean, what you hear, that single that was released, that was a demo. We recorded it. It's a one-take vocal. It's one-take drums. And that's probably why it sounds kind of like so live and and vibrant. And we just stick it out, bang it out. Yeah, great. We got another live tune. But no, that was never the idea.
Never the intention. No. I think as well, like getting nerdy and fanny here or whatever. But there was no European tour for Obnoxious or anything, was there? Like it was just
no.
And was that a thing where it was like, just we can get you £300 a night in Wrexham ballrooms and 30 other venues around the UK, so why take the chance on trying to head off into Europe? Like,
no, I mean, and by the way, everybody listening, that you did hear there that this wasn't me steering the conversation towards us.
No, I'm literally a nerd. I'm a big fanboy. So
no, because there was no market.
Yeah.
We didn't really sell much. We were a UK band, and that was it. For some reason, fucking pretty huge in Ireland.
Yeah, I know because you did like 6 or 7 shows.
Yeah, and I mean, we did McGonagall's, and the promoter was like, we could have sold this out 3 or 4 times.
Really?
So yeah, he's like, he said like the tickets sold in minutes, and we could have done it. And we were like, fuck, why not? And again, you hear these things, don't you? And it fucking breaks your heart.
Yeah, secondhand.
You always hear these things when it's too late.
And so was it, like, I suppose obviously everything that you did in Europe and stuff was with Nuclear or Exodus, which was both.
Well, we never went to Europe with Exodus.
Oh, was that just England or whatever? But I suppose that's what they call it, isn't it? That's through the management as well. So was that the kind of thing where Nuclear Assault just weren't doing a European tour for the next album, so there was no in for you guys, or what?
Well, to be honest, by the time, I mean, they came around, we did the handle of because we did a few dates in Europe at the end of the first tour with them.
Yeah.
Where John filled in for Gaz who buggered off, and then we did Handle with Care. That was the European tour that we did.
Yeah.
Well, as you know yourself, like that wasn't far off. That wasn't far before Thrash started dying.
Yeah, that's like the end of '89, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Well, by Nuclear Assault's next album, I can't remember what followed. Handle with Care. Yeah. And that was a massive drop off.
Yeah.
That was a massive drop off. The
from headline to Hammersmith and
yes,
having a rep that was like it's so strange whenever you think of like bands like Nuclear Assault and stuff headline Hammersmith in 1989, and bands like Sepultura couldn't sell out the marquee, and then a year later or a year and a half later Nuclear Assault couldn't get arrested in England, whereas Sepultura were on the up. You know?
Yeah, it did switch around that fast, and I mean, well, we found out we played the Marquee on the Obnoxious tour, and we had a meeting in Pizza Hut next door, and management basically said the album is not going to come out in the States,
Right. So it's just
because all the enthusiasm we'd had from the demo, we could have signed deals there and then, but we said no, we'll come back with the album, right? And basically, and right there and then, we pretty much knew that was the beginning of the end. That was the beginning of the end, yeah. And the weird thing is, the previous night, Milton Keynes, we'd had a fucking storming gig. It's on YouTube. We're so lucky we captured that, because then the following night, the Marquee show wasn't that great, because we had that conversation in the restaurant before the gig, and everybody was a bit down.
Isn't it? It's good.
Philly's back, by the way, folks.
Hello.
Like, it's good being able to finish and be mates and have a legacy intact instead of drawing it out for years, like, you know, and law of diminishing returns and stuff. And I suppose it's different. Like, we will never probably finish because we can make our music pretty much for nothing, you know, record it for free, bring it out for free. So there's no, because we all have jobs, there's no impetus to be all like, well, this is a fucking failure. Let's pack it in, like, you know.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing, because it isn't currently a job, you can't quit.
Yep. Whereas, like,
it's not your job, you can't quit.
if you think of Acid Rain's rap and stuff compared to somebody like Reanimator, who struggled on and did a couple of albums that were like really badly received and stuff like that, like, it's not as if.
Well, one of the things I'm most proud of is we split up. Sabbath split up 2 weeks later, and Onslaught split up about a month after that.
So you were ahead of the curve.
Yeah, exactly. But that's it as well. You saw the UK, 3 of the UK Big Four.
I was talking to one of the guys from Xandrax, and he said that they went into the studio to record an album, come out a month later, and they said all the other bands in the scene had broken up. Like, and they're just like, they couldn't get a tour. They're just like, well, where'd everybody go?
Yeah, we all pretty much saw the writing on the wall. I mean, I just, you know, you don't want to carry on and just think, nah, this is going to be fucking shit.
Well, you know, unlike now, it was, as I say, a time that was very much dictated by larger forces, by fashion.
Yeah.
Which now it's not.
Yeah, and now it's not. Now there is no fashion.
Yeah.
Now every style
and
is
I think
style.
like the band that we've always tried to emulate in terms of a business model and stuff has been Tankard, look, because we toured with them quite a few shows back in the day, and the bass player sat us down. He was just like, we made a decision in 1992 just to have families and record and do gigs whenever there was time, and they said it was the best decision they ever made, because they got off the roller coaster and got on with
their lives.
Yeah, having families and stuff who weren't gonna friggin' divorce them, like, you know.
Yeah, and yet what they do is they kind of, you know, commit a bit of their time, where they take their time and they
2 weeks
go and do a tour. You know, they take some of their leave, or they take the amount of leave they can get. They go and do stuff. They go and do gigs. They pick the right things.
Yeah.
They record an album every year, every 2 years. Great, you know, that's really good, and I think that struck us quite strongly.
Yeah, and they were the ones who were saying, like, you know, the people in Destruction and Creator and stuff is a different kind
I think
of
we were also
they
inspired.
have to do it, it's their job, like, you know.
Yeah.
They're like, it's not our job, we've all got families. And
I think we were also very inspired by Dee Dee and Bobby from Overkill, because being close to them and seeing that they could sustain real lives as well as a music career, and the professionalism that they approached everything with was a big thing for us.
And they took everything in hand. Like, they own their own tour bus in Europe that they rent out to bands whenever they only tour Europe like once a year, but they own the bus.
And it gets rented out the rest of the year. Yeah.
And whenever they finish the tour, they'll use the money to go and make an album and then sell the album to the label.
So they're very, and you know, they all have their own things going on in their own lives and stuff as well. Yeah, so it's that's the boring stuff behind the scenes of our shit yourself music.
Shit yourself to live music.
Yeah.
As it's been christened. Well, look, guys. We've it's been lovely. We've covered a lot of ground.
It's nice, like, sort of not specifically talking about our music or your music, but just like sort of
music.
Here we all are.
The whole idea. Well, the name of the podcast is Talking Bollocks.
Good. Good.
I think we've talked a right lot of bollocks.
I agree.
It's been a pleasure, and we'll
Thanks
catch
so much.
up next time you're around. Not at all. It's always a pleasure.
Yay.
So there you have it. That was a really good chat. It was really nice to see the guys, and as you've heard there, it's all good. It's all good. So we're winding down now. It's coming to the end of the show, and just wanted to say thank you to all of the bands who sent songs in. Scimitar, Firebomb, tons of you all. It was Hollywood Dirtbags. Can't forget that. There was songs coming in from all angles. Prometheum, yes, thank you for your song as well. Good guys, and also Engines of Vengeance, thank you for yours. I mean, so look, thanks to everybody for sending the songs in. They were really cool. And just because I don't play your band now, I'm not going to play your song now, doesn't mean that it's not going to get played over the duration of our run, because I'm intending on doing this pretty much forever. So there you go. Everyone's in with a chance. But the winners of actually, before we, because I'm just going to play out with this final song, and there's only going to be one song a month, so obviously everyone's going to hang in there. But before we do that, may as well just wind the show up. Thank you very much for listening. It's a pleasure and an honour to have your ears for this length of time. Really do appreciate it. Please stay in touch. Email howard@allabouttherock.co.uk. Tell me where you listen to this, and anything. I mean, just email in with anything you want. Tips of like stuff you're listening to at the moment that's particularly cool. I'm enjoying quite a few interesting bits and pieces at the moment. But actually, hang on, here we go. I am listening to the sound of a CD again. The Monty Pittman album. Monty Pittman played guitar with Prong. Awesome fucking band. If you haven't heard Carved into Stone from a couple of years ago, then you don't know what you're missing. One of the best albums released in the last decade. It's phenomenal. Prong back on massive style. And touring over here as well, and I'm hoping to get a chance to sit down and talk to Tommy from Prong, who I originally met in the Duchess of York in Leeds in 1989. So I haven't seen him since. Don't expect to be there should be a lot of catching up there. So Monty Pittman album, that's pretty cool. Power of Three, produced by Flemming Rasmussen, no less. It's not complete thrash, and it's interesting. It's a 3 out of 5 album, quite old school. Anyway, I've kind of drifted off there a little bit. My apologies. Look, stay in touch if you want to win this Slipknot book, and it is an awesome book. Then stay in touch and send us in your emails. Just tell me where you listen to the podcast. That's it. That's nice and fucking simple, isn't it? If anybody wants to send pictures of themselves in listening to the podcast, or where they listen to the podcast, send those pictures as well. Not too much nudity. I've got quite a sensitive disposition. But seriously, let's start a little bit of a dialogue. It's great to hear from you guys, those people who have who emailed in. Thank you to every single one of you. It's very, very cool. It's and hopefully we're building something here. Hopefully we're going to be doing this for a long time, and you can be the people who were there at the start and help really make it become a success and get it off the ground. So thanks to each and every one of you listening. Really appreciate it. Yet again, fantastic response to the first podcast. Myself and the guys at All About the Rock were blown away. I really couldn't have predicted it. Absolutely phenomenal. I mean, just the emails from bands that we've had in. We've had them in from Germany, Sweden, Greece, Italy, the UK, America. By that I mean North America, USA. Phenomenal. So thank you, really, from the bottom of my balls. Thank you very much for. Or Bollocks, actually, should be for this show, shouldn't it? For writing in. But finally, here we are. The lucky winner of the first band competition. All of you young bands out there who sent your CDs in and sent your MP3s in there, and you've only got 1 or 2 albums out and you're struggling and all the rest of it. Like, I am all up for supporting you guys, and tuning in future, please do. But the first song had to be from reformed German thrash band from the 80s, Darkness. The reason why is quite simple. Whilst you young bands, I'm sure, will be listening to this and thinking, "Oh, for fuck's sake, we need a hand, we need a foot up," and I know everyone does in this, in the current climate of music. But these guys are old school. These guys have quite simply put in the hours, they've put in the years. They really, they really have. They were around in the 80s, and the main reason for this, I mean, I was blown away when I got an email with their song on it, because I remember listening to Darkness, me and Gaz. Gaz Jennings, who was originally in Acid Rain. I mean, we pretty much formed the band, the two of us, and he left and went on to form Cathedral. I remember nicking off. Nicking off means playing truant. Playing truant means not going to your lessons. I don't know what the fucking phrase is now. I don't know. Probably just, I don't know, knobbing the dog, whatever. Whatever you describe not going to school and doing something else instead. In my last year of school, I just used to walk right through the school and go and work in a record shop, and then take my uniform off when I got there, work in a record shop, then put my uniform on at the end of the day and go back to school. Go home. How's your day at school? Oh, yeah, learnt loads. I learnt how to do a refund through the till. Anyway, I digress. So me and Gaz used to go off and write tunes and imagine what it'd be like to be in a band and get signed instead of being at school. And I remember being round at his and listening to Darkness. Not The Darkness, so please, a big fuck you to The Darkness. This is Darkness, German thrash metal band from back in the day. And quite simply, like I said, when you've put in the hours, you've put in the years that they have, there was just no choice to be made. It had to be these guys that I played first on the show. So this is it from me. Thank you very much for listening. It's been an absolute pleasure. And as always, take care of yourselves and look forward to talking more bollocks with you next month. But in the meantime, please have a listen to Darkness. You can find them on Facebook. It's facebook.com/Darkness Death Squad. Okay, so we can find them on Facebook. And if nothing else, you should go there purely because they have a message up there, and it says, if you have a thrash metal band, please feel free to post your band's link in the comments section so we can check you out and eat your thrash. Eat your thrash. How fucking metal is that? Or pornographic? I don't know. There seems to be a porn undertone of today's show. But anyway, that's enough from me. I'm handing you over to the guys from Darkness, and this is their track that they sent in, which is full on proper old school, and it's called Hate Is My Engine.